Have you ever noticed how some people need a plan while others thrive in the moment? Or how you and a loved one can experience the very same situation so differently? In this episode, I'm sharing a fun overview of the Enneagram personality system, what it is, how it can guide you to be your best, and how it can help you understand others so that you have more connection in your relationships. So, whether you've never heard of it or you already know your type and use the knowledge from it, I hope you'll love today's exploration of this insightful system with a little spotlight on each of the 9 types. Let's get curious about what makes us tick. Hello there, friend. Thanks for joining me. How are you? Good, I hope. Today, I think you might have some aha moments that help you understand yourself and the people around you in a whole new light. Ooh, this is going to be fun. Let's swan dive into this. There are so many personality systems out there: Myers-Briggs, StrengthsFinder, DISC assessment, color personality, and just so many others. And I love them all. But about 7 years ago, I started learning a lot more about the Enneagram, and something clicked. I love how it didn't just describe behaviors, but helped uncover why we do what we do. It's been super helpful in my personal growth and with my family, my husband, my kids, siblings, just all of my relationships. It's my favorite personality method for understanding ourselves and the people we love. Oh, wait, before we go any further, if you're brand new to all of this, I've linked a few trusted Enneagram tests in the show notes. You might want to take one now and come back, or just listen through this episode and see which type feels most like you, and then take the test after. That would be great too. The ones I've listed are free, and they take about 5 to 7 minutes to take online, and they'll give you your type. Sometimes they want you to purchase the expanded version. You can if you want to, but that's not necessary. You can just get your free test results. Imagine if human personality came with an instruction manual. Not just, here's what this person does, but here's why they do it, what they're afraid of, and what makes them feel most alive. That's essentially what the Enneagram offers, a framework for understanding 9 different personality types, each with its own internal operating system, like an emotional GPS. We're all wired so differently, and the Enneagram explains why we're all so beautifully, sometimes frustratingly, different. Those 9 distinct personality types are each driven by different core motivations and ways of seeing the world. Another thing I really love is that it's not slapping a label on you or boxing you in. I know some people worry about that. It's more about uncovering the patterns you most likely already live by and giving you the tools to shift them with more clarity and purpose. So it opens the door to new awareness and intentional growth. The Enneagram has ancient roots and wisdom traditions, giving it a depth that goes beyond modern psychology. Over time, the Enneagram has moved from contemplative circles into the mainstream. Today, it's used everywhere from therapy offices to corporate boardrooms, and that's just because of its accuracy. The Enneagram is useful because it isn't just another "which Disney princess are you" type of quiz. Here's why people find it genuinely helpful. It's great with self-awareness. Instead of just telling you what you do, it explains why you do it. Understanding your core motivations can be like suddenly having a user manual for yourself. It's also great at pattern recognition. It helps you notice your default patterns, especially when you're under stress or in a growth phase. It's a relational GPS. When you understand someone's Enneagram type, you get insight into their inner world, what drives them, what stresses them out, and how they show love or handle conflict. And understanding what others value and fear brings a ton of compassion to the table. And, we all have blind spots. The Enneagram also can shine a light on those. And it's also a universal tool. It's a great tool in coaching, parenting, leadership. When I'm working with a client, especially in my long-term, like 3 months or 6-month programs with the client, early on, I always send them a link to take the test because it helps me so much to understand their core motivations and where they're coming from. Okay, so I promise we're getting to all the personality type descriptions in just a minute. I just want to say one more thing about how we can use this. First of all, you just start by identifying your type. You can do it through taking a test, like I said earlier, or reading descriptions about it, reading a book, listening to podcast episodes. Hey, like this one. And there's a lot of what I think are super funny YouTube videos with people acting out all the personalities. You can just Google those, or you can work with a coach who incorporates the Enneagram. But remember, you are the expert on you. The test results are just suggestions. They can be very accurate, but your own self-reflection is what matters most. I had all my kids take it. I also send a link to the test to my sibling text thread, and it was really fun and enlightening for all of us to share. It helps you feel like you know a person so much better, and they understand you better too. Okay, so are you ready for a little personality parade? I'm going to tell you a little about each of the 9 types. I have 2 names for each one. That's just because different books or teachers will call them slightly different names. I'll tell you a few thoughts about each one, and then the core motivation, core fear, superpower, and the growth edge. Think of that as a door to opportunity, or what we need to be aware of. And then I'll also add a real life example. And as we go through these, remember, other people of your same type may be quite different from you. There's so much beautiful variety even within each number. You may have the same core motivations, but there are endless ways to express it. Also remember, we all have pieces of each type within us, but one is most dominant, your core, your home base. All the types are fantastic, though. I have people that I love in each type, and I'm sure you do too. So here we go. Starting with type 1, the perfectionist, also called the reformer. Meet the person who spots the typo in the restaurant menu and politely mentions it to the server. Ones are driven by a need to be good and right, with an internal critic that rarely takes a break. They're the world's quality control specialist, always working to improve themselves and everything around them. They're motivated by the desire to be good, right, and ethical, and often the perfectionist with a heart of gold. Type 1's core motivation is to be perfect and avoid error. Their core fear is being corrupt, defective, or wrong. Their superpower is incredible attention to detail and genuine desire to make the world better. Their growth edge is learning that good enough is often actually good enough. Okay, let's make it real. My hubby, Dean the Dream, is a classic type 1. Although, well, maybe not classic. I usually say he's pretty chill for a type 1. But I often joke with him that he has this internal rule book that the rest of us somehow missed getting. He worked on golf courses for years, which was ideal because he could get the grass striped up with precision, which he loved. And now he's in charge of the grounds at a big temple for our church, where he gets to maintain every detail beautifully. And he also loves cooking and keeping the house clean and tidy. And I have to say, I'm not complaining about my type 1. It works for me. So type 1 is about doing the right thing. Let's move to type 2, which is about doing the kind thing, especially for everyone else. So let's meet type 2, the helper, also called the giver. This is the friend that remembers your birthday and your grandma's name and that you hate mushrooms. 2s are motivated by the need to be needed. They're the ultimate people pleasers, but in a good way. They care about others' well-being and have a radar for what people need. They're often the first one to bring a casserole and to check in with everyone but themselves. Core motivation, to be loved and needed. Core fear, being unloved or unwanted. Superpower, extraordinary empathy and ability to nurture others. Growth edge, learning to identify and express their own needs. Okay, here's the real life example on that one. I have a dear friend in a Marco Polo friend group, and as a type 2, she remembers details from everyone's stories and is almost always the first one to pop on and follow up with the sweetest replies. She has this gift for making everyone feel seen and appreciated. I hope you all have a type 2 person in your life, even if you are one yourself. Maybe even especially if you are one yourself. If type 2s win your heart, type 3s win awards. So let's talk about the high-achieving go-getters, type 3, also called the achiever or the performer. This is the person whose LinkedIn profile makes you question your life choices. You know what I mean? 3s are success-oriented, adaptable. They are driven to achieve. They're natural performers who can read a room and become whatever version of themselves will be most successful in that context. Think of them as human chameleons with excellent networking skills. They're motivated by a need to succeed and be seen as valuable. Core motivation, to be valuable and worthwhile. Core fear, being worthless or without value apart from their achievements. Superpower, incredible ability to get things done and inspire others. Growth edge, learning to value themselves for who they are, not just what they accomplish. All right, here's my real life example on this one. Our oldest daughter is a textbook type 3. When she was only 12, she really wanted to audition for a big outdoor summer theater, Tuacahn for my southern Utah listeners, and she ended up performing there throughout every summer from age 12 to age 19. She loved it. And now she's an attorney and a U.S. diplomat living in Europe. And for many years, she's been traveling the world as often as she can fit it in her schedule. Her Instagram account could literally be a travel magazine, just gorgeous photos from everywhere she goes. And I'm always like, who's taking all these pictures of you? Skiing in the Swiss Alps, in a little Italian village. Do you have a photographer with you? She just laughs and says, no, I just asked someone to snap a picture, or she puts the timer on her phone. Anyway, that is a classic type 3. Okay, moving on. From goal-getting and spotlight moments to soul-searching and emotional depth. Now we shift gears into the world of type 4. Type 4 is called the individualist, also the artist. 4s are emotionally deep, creative, and have a gift for finding beauty and meaning in life. They're the ones who will cry at a particularly moving commercial and then write a poem about it. They long to be authentic and deep and different. They want to be known as being very unique and different. They're motivated by the desire to find their true self, often the poet of the group, and they feel all the feels. Their core motivation is to find themselves and their significance. Core fear is having no identity or personal significance. Superpower, extraordinary emotional depth and creative expression. And their growth edge is learning to appreciate the ordinary and find stability in the present. Here's my example on this one. I know a guy who I'm pretty sure he's a type 4. Although I'd never tell someone what I think they are. Everyone needs to figure it out themselves. And now he's both a musician and an artist, which fits that creative, individualistic type 4 pattern perfectly. But here's another tell. He took the Enneagram test and said, I tied on a few different types, but I can't tell what I am because I didn't really fit with most of the types. Now, that might actually be a clue that he's a type 4 because they resist being told who they are or being put in what they think is a box. They want to be seen as unique and different, so they often push back against any description that feels limiting to them. That's just something to keep in mind. Okay, after 4s who want to feel everything, let's move to type 5s who want to understand everything. Type 5, the investigator or the thinker. This is the person who absorbs knowledge about everything and has an amazing ability to see patterns that others miss. I call them the quiet genius. 5s can be intense, cerebral, and have endless curiosity about how things work. They're the ones who disappear into research rabbit holes and emerge 3 hours later with expertise on, 17th century door hinges or something bizarre like that. They crave knowledge and space, and they crave alone time. They're often the one quietly watching and then dropping the most brilliant insight. Their core motivation is to be capable and competent. Their core fear is being useless, helpless, or incapable. Their superpower is an incredible ability to understand complex systems and think independently. Their growth edge is learning to engage with the world and trust their own competence. So my real life example on this one is one of my sons is a type 5. He builds out computer systems that are used in healthcare. That's my simplistic way of explaining what he does because I'm not a 5. How this helps me to know this is I'm kind of a wordy person. He's not. So before I text him, in my brain, I edit out about 60% of what I want to say or explanations before I ask him a question. And I just try to make it very succinct because that's his style. So that's what I mean about the Enneagram helps you connect with other people easier. As a little kid, this boy of mine got the nickname of the Stealth because he always seemed to sneak away from the room, from conversations, from chores, with no one noticing for a while. I also think that 5s can be cleverly funny because they're usually the observers rather than the talkers. So when they do crack a joke, they're not trying to be the center of attention. So it catches you by surprise. They can deliver it with perfect timing, and it's usually hilarious. So if you have someone in your life who goes quiet but surprises you with spot-on observations, that might be a type 5. And trust me, they notice more than they let on. Okay, moving on. Now for a type you definitely want around in a crisis. Type 6, the loyalist, also known as the skeptic. The skeptic might sound like it's a negative word, but keep listening. It's not. You're so needed. This is the friend who always has a backup plan. Plan B and C and D and E. 6s are really responsible. Anxious, yes, and sometimes suspicious, but in a I'm just trying to keep everyone safe kind of way. They're excellent at spotting potential problems, and they're actually incredibly loyal once they decide that you're trustworthy. Think of them as your risk assessment team. They're motivated by security and loyalty, and they're the person who worries so you don't have to. They have a built-in radar for what might go wrong, and they always want to preempt it to prevent it. Core motivation, to have security and support. Core fear, being without support or guidance. Superpower, excellent problem solving and fierce loyalty. Growth edge, learning to trust their own judgment and manage anxiety. Occasionally, I'll have a type 6 in my Simply Align energy healing trainings. And one thing I often hear from a 6 is, what if I'm not intuitive enough to do this? Or how do I know if it's actually working? That's their inner loyalist voice, looking for certainty. I love helping them trust the process and trust themselves. Once they feel supported and confident, they often become some of the most committed and reliable practitioners. They just need that early encouragement that they're on the right track and that they can do it. Okay, we've had our emergency preparedness kit with type 6. Now let's jump into the party planning committee. Here comes type 7, the enthusiast, also known as the epicure. I think the best way to describe this one is to unpack the word epicure. It comes from Epicurus, an ancient Greek philosopher who believed pleasure was the highest good. In the context of type 7, the epicure refers to their appetite for life's pleasures and experiences, not just food, but all the good things life has to offer. They have a refined taste for variety and adventure. They're like connoisseurs of fun and positive experiences. 7s are spontaneous and versatile and fun-loving and always looking for the next experience. Motivated by the desire to avoid pain and keep things light. The cup is always half full and they can always see the silver lining. Also, a type 7 would be the person most likely to start a podcast called Catching Sunshine. Oh, I gave myself away. That tells you I'm a 7, which explains why I love exploring fun topics like this with you. I can always spot a type 7 within, a minute or less into a conversation. I don't know if that's a thing for everyone's own type or just with sevens because of their particular traits. So the core motivation is to maintain happiness and freedom and avoid pain. Core fear is being trapped in deprivation. Don't tie me down. And superpower is incredible optimism and ability to find joy in almost anything. The growth edge, learning to slow down and go deeper rather than always moving to the next thing. If sevens are the party planners, eights are the bodyguards. We're moving from adventure seeking to justice seeking. Type 8, the challenger or the protector. This is the person who will absolutely tell the rude customer service rep exactly what they think, and somehow they get you both upgraded to first class. How do they do it? I don't know. Eights are self-confident, they're strong, they're assertive. They're natural leaders who aren't afraid of conflict, and they'll fight for what they believe is right. They're strong, they're assertive, they're very protective, and they're motivated by the need to be in control and to avoid being vulnerable. They're fiercely loyal. They're the friend who has your back, sometimes loudly, but they've always got your back. Core motivation, to be self-reliant and in control of their own life. Core fear, being controlled or vulnerable or weak. Their superpower is incredible strength and ability to protect others. They're the social justice warriors. Their growth edge is learning to show vulnerability and that strength can include gentleness. So let's be real. When you heard my description of type 8s, someone probably pops in your mind. They can come on strong. They have a bold presence, and if you're not used to that energy, it can seem intimidating at first. But every type 8 person I know, they love being a type 8. Understanding the Enneagram helped me see past the intensity and notice the loyalty, the protectiveness, and deep care underneath. Once you get them, you can't help but love them. Okay, totally different energy coming up next. We're moving from the warrior to the mediator. This is type 9, the peacemaker or the mediator. This is the friend who somehow gets along with everyone and can find common ground between people who seem to agree on nothing. Nines are gracious, they're supportive, they have a gift for seeing all sides of a situation. They're the human equivalent of a comfortable couch. Everyone feels better in their presence. They're easygoing and kind and go with the flow. They're motivated by the desire to keep the peace internally and externally. They can merge with others' agendas and also have deep wisdom when they tune into their own. Their core motivation is to maintain inner and outer peace. Their core fear is disconnection and losing relationships. Their superpower is an incredible ability to create harmony and see multiple perspectives. Their growth edge is learning to assert their own opinions and priorities. I have several clients who are type 9s. One of them specifically I'm thinking of. She's just lovely, and she told me she used to worry that she wasn't standing up for herself enough, that maybe people were walking all over her. And learning about the Enneagram was such a relief for her because she finally realized that her peacemaking nature is valuable, not something she needed to go fix. Understanding her type helped her see that her natural way of creating harmony isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Okay, guys, there you have it, a simple explanation of all 9 types. The Enneagram goes way beyond what we covered today. There are wings and subtypes and arrows, and some people dive really deep into it. Honestly, it can feel like a lot, especially if you're just getting started. And you don't need to learn all of that. I think it's really beneficial just to understand your type, and also it's helpful to understand the types of other people that you're around a lot of the time. There are tons of great books on the Enneagram. Some are a little too intense for me, but if you're a type 5, you might like that style. I want to tell you about my all-time favorite Enneagram book. It's called The Art of Typing by Ginger Lapid-Bogda, PhD. It's clear, it's visual, it's super fun to read. You can pick up a lot just by thumbing through it. It's got color-coded infographics and illustrations and examples of how different types act in different situations. The cartoon depictions in it just make learning the types so much easier. Like I said at the first, if you haven't taken an Enneagram test or haven't taken one for a while, there's lots of free ones online. I really like truity.com. I have it linked below in the show notes. Or you might have figured out your type just by noticing what resonated here as I read through the descriptions. You can always go back and listen through those again now that you understand the framework. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, send this episode their way. The Enneagram is such a fun tool to explore with friends or family. As always, thanks for being here. And until next time, keep shining.